All right, we are live with Bet What Happens Live. Kind of a sloppy game here as we expected with the weather between the New York Jets and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the Jaguars lead 13-3, 10-point lead here against the favored New York Jets coming into halftime. I've already got the live numbers updated for you, so let's pull up my screen and we can go ahead and take a look. So right now, the market is showing the Jets only have a 20% chance to win this game based off the live money lines. I'm just averaging DraftKings and FanDuel live money lines here. Additionally, if we look at the pace splits, we can see pretty neutrals, a little bit slightly faster in the second half, but the bigger factor is that the Jaguars are going to play a lot slower with the lead. Plus, we're getting that heavy rain coming in. And the Jets, while they do play faster trailing than other teams that trail, the Jaguars just play so much slower with the lead that we're actually going to see, a situation here where we're going to be probably slower in the second half. But since the total is already 33.5, the live total is already 33.5, I don't necessarily think we need to take the under here. And especially because the Jets are going to start with the ball and they're going to be pushing the tempo a little bit. We could wait till potentially after this Jets possession if we wanted to take a live under. So ideally, maybe the Jets would get like a field goal here, push that total up just a touch, but then the Jaguars get the ball and we could take the live under. So that's what I would look at as far as the live market in terms of over unders. But let's get into the player prop market because we've got a lot of interesting props that we can look at here. So as always, we're going to start with the passers, and because there is a very good chance that Zach Wilson gets benched, his live prop is off the board right now. Trevor Lawrence's live prop is 222.5. Right now, he has 147 passing yards. We're showing a live projection of 236, but again, the Jags are not going to start with the ball. So that'll come down. So I don't want to really touch this prop right now. I think this is a spot where we can just kind of wait on Trevor Lawrence, especially if the Jets end up scoring, then there may be value on the over for Trevor Lawrence, but I don't really want to touch that prop right now. As far as receiving props, we'll go over there. Let's come over to receiving props. Evan Ingram's live receiving line at 97.5. He's been getting a lot of the work. But the question is, again, how much are the Jags actually going to pass it in this second half? We have Christian Kirk's live line at 19.5. Zay Jones at 12.5. So it's pretty low lines here. Marvin Jones just straight up locked on his prop off the board. And looking at Travis Etienne, I say Etienne because that's closer to the French way of saying it, but I know the anglicized way is Etienne. His is off the board as well. So not a whole lot going on here for Jags props, receiving props. And then we have to go over to the Jets side of the ball, and no prop for Knight, no prop for, it looks like Michael Carter locked. I think most of these are going to be locked. We have Corey Davis at 14.5. We have one for Elijah Moore, 15.5, and then Garrett Wilson, 41.5. And we probably will have one for Conklin as well, who's had a pretty solid game, 43.5. So looking at the receiving props, we're showing some value on the overs for the Jets, and they are starting with the ball. And this game is going to be a little faster paced. And maybe the Jets pull Zach Wilson, which I think could only theoretically help here. So we are showing value on these overs, actually, for the Jets. So I want to go and check and see if Zach Wilson's prop still has not opened up. So we'll just probably end up going with one or two of these Jets receiving overs. So we've got Garrett Wilson, we've got Elijah Moore, and let me real quick check their routes run. I think we'll probably just take whichever the two has had the highest route participation here. So receiving, we have 15 routes run for Corey Davis, 15 for Garrett Wilson, 13 for Conklin, 9 for Carter, and 2 for Knight. And actually, because Elijah Moore hasn't even been targeted yet, the next gen stats site that I'm looking at hasn't even put up his routes run yet. So I think Garrett Wilson will be the spot we go. He's run 15 routes on, let's see, on 16 dropbacks, it looks like, for Zach Wilson. So I think Garrett Wilson over on his receiving yards will be the play that we want. So let me just double check real quick before I commit to that we've got his numbers right here. So we have Garrett Wilson currently at 13 receiving yards. I currently have 13. All right. So on the double check there, we look good. Median of 38 for the rest of the game. So we are definitely showing value on this over here. So we are going to go with, and I know the conditions are getting sloppier, they're getting messier, but the Jags do need to come back. And eventually we think this defense will soften up for the Jaguars at some point. So we're going to go Garrett Wilson over. I'm just going to find the best line we can find. So let me get to receiving props here. Garrett Wilson, 41.5. We got minus 115 to the over on DraftKings, minus 114 to the over on FanDuel. So we're going to go Garrett Wilson over 41.5 receiving yards, minus 114 at FanDuel. I don't think I'm forcing anything. That's why we're looking around here. We're looking around, shopping around, right? We're showing 61% value to the over. And the Jets are starting with the ball, so we need to factor in a little extra, bake in a little extra there. So I don't think we're forcing anything. I think 61% is pretty good on a minus 114 line. Remember, these projections are already accounting for the fact that this weather is supposed to be like it is. So, I think I'm pretty comfortable with this one. You get a guy who's participating on every single route, essentially, and I think we're good. So, moving on to rushing props. We have Travis Etienne, 106.5. Let me add that right there. 106.5, and that's the only rushing prop on the board. Everything else is locked, and we're showing a little bit of value to the under, but he's been so efficient today. And, the Jags are not starting with the ball, but the Jets are the faster paced of the two teams. So want to avoid that right there. And that's also why I like taking this over right now while I can on Garrett Wilson, is the Jets are starting with the ball, the faster pace of the two teams. So I think right now, as far as player props, those are going to, that one prop we're going to stick with on the Garrett Wilson over. But we can come look real quick at interceptions. I'm sure Zach Wilson's interception prop will be off the board. Passing props. Let's look at interceptions real quick. Trevor Lawrence plus 290 for an interception. We're showing plus 256 fair value. So there may be some thin value there, but don't really like it because, again, they're not going to start with the ball. So let's go to anytime touchdown props and see what we have here, because there may be another score in this game. So if it's going to come, who is it going to come from? That's the question. So let's take a look at the Jet receivers. Garrett Wilson, no value there. Maybe some thin value at plus 430. We're showing plus 410 fair value. Elijah Moore, definitely no value there. Corey Davis, possibly some thin value there. But again, these are all super thin value spots. Maybe Conklin, but I wonder if books have adjusted for him. So let me look. Conklin at plus 1,000, 10-1. I think that might be the most interesting one. He's gotten some really good usage so far in this game. And, the Jaguars are weak against the tight end position. And The Jaguars are starting with the ball, so it's even more likely that he could score a touchdown. They're the faster pace of the two teams. So if I went with one, I think I would go with Conklin. Any value on third quarter under 7.5 minus 150? I would say probably not, simply because the Jets start with the ball and they're the faster paced of the two teams. I think if the Jags were starting with the ball, I think there'd be more value there because, again, coming into these pace splits, the Jaguars are the much slower paced of the two teams in this situation where the Jaguars are leading. But because the Jets are starting with the ball and they're actually faster than league average, I think I would hold off on a third quarter under here. So I'm going to say probably not, but I also don't have anything built out specifically just for the third quarter. We're kind of looking at full game splits here. So I think, we're kind of in a good spot here. We have about a minute and a half left. So the only prop we're going to go with, we're going to go with two props. We're going to go with that Garrett Wilson over 41.5 receiving yards, minus 114 at FanDuel. And I'm going to sprinkle a quarter unit on Tyler Conklin, anytime touchdown, 10-1. Let's do it. Let's roll with that. Tyler Conklin, anytime touchdown, 10-1, quarter unit as our other bet on Bet What Happens Live. So 2-0 today. So far, we nailed that Trevor Lawrence over on his rushing yard prop. We got the first half under. So let's see if we can at least get one of these two. Either one will put us in the green based off the way we're bet sizing. So as long as we hit one of these two props, we'll be in the green. So Garrett Wilson over 41.5 for a full unit, minus 114 to win a unit. And then Tyler Conklin, quarter unit at 10-1. We'll see you all on Monday Night Football for Bet What Happens Live. Enjoy the second half, everyone. We'll see you.